Get your black ass on the ground now before I put you there myself. Officer Derek Vaughn's voice cuts through the quiet afternoon air of Pinewood Heights like a blade. His hand rests on his department-issued Glock 22, already unholstered, pointed at the driver's side window. His $850 Oakley Flax sunglasses reflect the modest 2015 silver Honda Accord in front of him. The call came in 8 minutes ago. Armed robbery 2 blocks over at the Merchants Bank. Suspect description: black male, 40s, navy blue shirt, silver sedan, fled eastbound on Oakwood Avenue. And here's a silver Honda, black male driver, navy blue shirt, driving eastbound on Oakwood. Perfect match. Behind the wheel, Marcus Ellison keeps both hands visible on the steering wheel. 10 and 2. Exactly where they teach you in every how to survive while black conversation that happens in kitchens and living rooms across America. His navy blue button-down shirt is wrinkled from hours of meetings at City Hall. No jewelry, no sudden movements. Just the practiced calm of a man who knows his life hangs on a thread made of split-second decisions. "Officer, what's this about?" Marcus asks, his voice steady as stone. "Out of the vehicle! Get on the ground now!" Vaughn's gun doesn't waver. "We got a call about an armed robbery and you match the description perfectly." Officer Ryan Matthews, Vaughn's 28-year-old partner, radios in from beside the patrol car, his voice tense. "Dispatch, we have a possible suspect vehicle stopped. Silver Honda Accord, black male driver, navy shirt, eastbound on Oakwood. Requesting backup for felony stop." Marcus's heart sinks. He knows exactly what's happening. A robbery call. A vague description that matches half the black men in Baltimore. And he's guilty by proximity and melanin. "Officer, I understand you have a call, but I'm not—" "I said get down!" Vaughn advances, gun still drawn. "Get out slowly. Keep your hands visible." Margaret Chen stops trimming her roses 3 houses down, her $40 Fiskars pruning shears frozen in her gloved hands. Her iPhone 15 Pro appears instantly. Recording. A jogger in $200 Nike Vaporfly sneakers halts mid-stride, phone already up. Across the street, in a second-floor bedroom window, 17-year-old Derek Vaughn Jr. watches his father with growing dread. His phone is recording too. Marcus steps out slowly, every movement telegraphed, deliberate, submissive. He's wearing khaki slacks and brown Oxford shoes that have seen better days. A small manila folder rests on the passenger seat, papers visible inside. "Turn around, hands on your back!" Vaughn's commands come rapid fire. Marcus complies without resistance, placing his palms flat on the warm hood of the Honda. "Officer, I'm happy to cooperate. I'm actually—" "Shut up! We'll ask the questions." Vaughn holsters his weapon now that Marcus is secured, but his hands remain aggressive as he pats him down roughly. "What are you doing in this neighborhood?" "I'm looking at houses. My family is relocating here next month for my new job." Vaughn's laugh is harsh, disbelieving. "Right. And I'm supposed to believe you just happened to match a robbery suspect's description, driving the exact same car in the exact same area, wearing the exact same clothes, and you're just house hunting? You think I'm stupid?" "Sir, if you would just check my identification, we'll get to that." Vaughn pulls out handcuffs. "Right now, you're being detained for investigation of armed robbery. You have the right to remain silent." Backup arrives. 2 more patrol cars, 4 more officers. Suddenly, Marcus is surrounded by 6 white officers, all looking at him like he's already guilty. The robbery suspect, the criminal, the threat. Before we dive deeper, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. The Baltimore Police Department's Western District Station smells like industrial cleaner, burnt coffee, and decades of institutional efficiency. Marcus is processed like every other suspect, photographed, fingerprinted, his belongings cataloged and sealed in a clear plastic evidence bag. One wallet, one keyring, one cell phone. The manila folder from his car goes into a separate bag marked Vehicle Evidence, Robbery Investigation, Pending Review. Nobody looks at it. Nobody opens it. Priority is interrogation, not paperwork. Put him in holding, Vaughn tells the desk sergeant. Armed robbery investigation. I need to pull the security footage from Merchant's Bank, get witness statements. We'll interview him in an hour. The desk sergeant, a tired-looking white woman in her 50s, barely glances up from her paperwork. Bench 3, next to the drunk tank. Marcus is led to a metal bench in the busy processing area, still cuffed. The cuffs come off only after he's seated, and his wrists immediately show the damage, dark purple bruises, skin rubbed raw. He sits with perfect posture despite the pain, hands folded in his lap, eyes closed in meditation. Around him, the station bustles with chaos. Officers processing other arrests. A drunk man slumped on the bench to his right, reeking of alcohol. A young Latino man to his left, also cuffed, staring at the floor in defeat. Phones ringing constantly, voices overlapping. The normal machinery of the justice system grinding through its daily workload. And Marcus sits among them, treated no differently, invisible in plain sight. On the processing counter 10 feet away, his clear evidence bag sits among dozens of others. The manila folder inside shows official letterhead through the plastic. Baltimore Police Department seal visible. But nobody looks. Nobody cares. It's just another suspect's belongings waiting to be reviewed whenever someone has time. A wall clock shows 3:15 p.m. Marcus has been here 20 minutes. It will be 2 more hours before anyone actually looks at that folder. Officer Vaughn is in the investigation room, pulling up the Merchant's Bank robbery call details. His confidence is sky high. He's certain he's made a good arrest. Clean stop, matched description, proper procedure. Matthews sits at the adjacent desk, uncomfortable. Something feels wrong, but he can't articulate what. The stop was legitimate. The description matched. Vaughn followed procedure. So why does his gut churn with dread? Derek, Matthews tries again. That folder in his car, it looked official. Maybe we should... Matthews, when you make detective, you can decide investigation priorities. Until then, follow my lead. I need witness statements from the bank before I talk to the suspect. That's how you build a case that holds up in court. But there's a problem Vaughn doesn't know yet. At 3:47 p.m., a patrol officer brings news that makes his blood run cold. Hey, Vaughn, that robbery suspect you brought in? They just arrested the actual robbery suspect 6 blocks away. He crashed the car during a chase. Silver Toyota Camry, not Honda. Guy had the bank money, gun, mask, everything. It's being processed now. Vaughn's face goes white. What? Yeah, dispatch is updating all units now. Silver Camry, not Accord. Suspect is 32 years old, not 40s. Different guy completely. Congrats on the false arrest, man. The room goes silent. Every officer in earshot turns to look at Vaughn. Matthews closes his eyes, already knowing this is about to get much worse. So, who did we arrest? Matthews asks quietly. Some random guy who matched a vague description, the officer shrugs. Better cut him loose before he sues. Vaughn's hands shake as he stands. Get his belongings. We'll release him with an apology. Process him out quietly. Maybe he won't make a big deal out of it. But it's too late for quiet. Those videos from Pinewood Heights are already viral. Hatch Pinewood Heights. Stop is trending. The view count is climbing. 1.2 million, 1.5 million, 2.1 million. And none of them know that yet. At 4:15 p.m., Sergeant Lisa Morrison enters the evidence processing room for her shift. She's a 19-year veteran, methodical and thorough, known for actually reading every document instead of rubber stamping releases. She picks up the vehicle evidence bag from Vaughn's arrest, opens it. expects insurance papers or vehicle registration. What she sees instead makes her freeze. Official letterhead. Baltimore Police Department seal. The words swim before her eyes. Dear Dr. Marcus Ellison, congratulations on your appointment as Chief of Police for the Baltimore Metropolitan Police Department. Effective Monday, August 4th, 2025. Your 22 years of distinguished service, your groundbreaking work in police reform, and your nationally recognized expertise in de-escalation and implicit bias training. The paper slips from her fingers. She picks it up again, reads it 3 times to make sure she's not hallucinating. Chief of Police. They arrested the new Chief of Police. Her hands shake as she flips through the rest of the folder. Congressional testimony documentation, federal training certifications, awards from the International Association of Chiefs of Police, academic credentials from Johns Hopkins University, a complete professional dossier of one of the most respected police reformers in the country. And he's sitting on a metal bench in the processing area right now because Vaughn decided a vague description was enough. Sergeant Morrison actually runs, to the processing area. She finds Marcus still sitting calmly on the bench, meditation broken only by the chaos around him. His wrists show the damage from the cuffs. His shirt is still torn at the shoulder. Dr. Ellison? Her voice cracks with horror. Sir, I am so sorry. There's been a terrible... Not a mistake, Sergeant, Marcus interrupts gently, opening his eyes. A false arrest based on a vague suspect description. It happens every day. The only difference is that this time, someone bothered to look at the evidence. His calm somehow makes it worse. Morrison's hands are still shaking as she pulls out her phone, dials Commissioner Wu's direct line. Wu answers on the second ring. Commissioner, this is Sergeant Morrison at Western District. Ma'am, we have a situation. A code red situation. What kind of situation? Ma'am, Officer Vaughn arrested a man 2 hours ago based on matching an armed robbery suspect description. The suspect has been sitting in our holding area for 2 hours. The actual robbery suspect was just caught. Wrong person entirely. And Commissioner... Morrison takes a breath. It's Dr. Marcus Ellison, our new Chief of Police. He starts Monday. We arrested him for armed robbery. The silence on the phone is so absolute Morrison thinks the line died. Then, get him out, now. Medical evaluation, clean clothes if needed, full documentation of injuries, and get me Officer Vaughn. I'm 10 minutes away. Do not let Dr. Ellison leave that building until I arrive. We need to address this immediately. The line goes dead. Morrison approaches Marcus with keys. Sir, you're being released immediately. I need to take you to medical. Document your injuries. Marcus stands slowly, his body stiff from sitting on metal for 2 hours. My wrists are bruised. My shoulder hit the car door frame when Officer Vaughn shoved me inside. But I'm alive, Sergeant Morrison. That makes me luckier than many black men who match vague descriptions. The truth of that hangs in the air like an indictment. 25 minutes later, Commissioner Angela Wu bursts through the station doors like a Category 5 hurricane in a $2,200 Armani suit. Her face is flushed. Her jaw is clenched so tight it could crack diamonds. Behind her, 2 internal affairs investigators carry tablets and recording equipment. She finds Marcus in the medical examination room, a nurse documenting his injuries with photographs. The bruises on his wrists are already darkening to purple-black. The scrapes are raw. His dress shirt is torn. Dr. Ellison. Wu's voice is controlled fury, barely restrained. On behalf of this department, I offer my profound apologies. This is inexcusable, completely inexcusable. Marcus meets her eyes. His voice is still calm, but there's steel underneath. Commissioner Wu, we've met before. 3 times, actually, during the transition meetings last month. You didn't recognize me sitting on that bench when you walked past processing 30 minutes ago. Wu's face pales. She had walked past processing. She hadn't even glanced at the detained individuals. because people on those benches are automatically suspects in her mind, automatically criminals. That's part of the problem, Marcus continues quietly. A black man on a holding bench is invisible, guilty until proven otherwise. It took someone actually reading my folder to establish my innocence. How many innocent people sit on those benches every day while evidence of their innocence sits in bags that nobody opens? The nurse finishes her documentation. 15 photographs. Medical report detailing contusions, abrasions, and soft tissue damage consistent with aggressive arrest and tight handcuffs. "Where is Officer Vaughn?" Marcus asks. "In my office, under guard. But Dr. Ellison, you've been through enough today. You don't need to—" "I absolutely need to see him, right now, because this conversation needs to happen while the violation is still fresh, while my wrists still hurt, before anyone has time to craft comfortable narratives about honest mistakes and unfortunate misunderstandings." Wu nods slowly. She knows he's right. Follow me. Officer Derek Vaughn sits in Commissioner Wu's 7th-floor office, his confidence completely shattered. Matthews sits beside him. Both stare at the wall-mounted television where CNN is playing. The headline makes Vaughn's stomach drop. Viral video. Baltimore police arrest black man in wealthy neighborhood. Turns out he was innocent. The video plays, over and over. Vaughn's aggressive commands, gun drawn, Marcus's hands up, compliant. The rough cuffing, the shove into the car, the view count climbing, 3.4 million, 3.7 million, 4.2 million. Then the update scrolls across the bottom. Update. Actual robbery suspect apprehended. Detained man was innocent. Identity unknown at this time. The door opens. Commissioner Wu enters. Behind her, still in his torn shirt and showing bruised wrists, is Marcus Ellison. Vaughn's face drains of all color. His mouth opens, closes, opens again like a fish drowning in air. Matthews looks like he's going to be sick. "Stand up," Wu commands. Both officers rise on shaking legs. "Officer Vaughn, Officer Matthews. This is Dr. Marcus Ellison. He holds a PhD in public administration from Johns Hopkins University. He's been a police officer for 22 years, starting in the Western District where you just arrested him. He's testified before Congress on police reform. He's written the federal guidelines on de-escalation that your training manual is based on. He's trained over 12,000 officers in 23 states. He won the International Association of Chiefs of Police Leadership Award in 2023. Wu's voice could cut steel. "And as of Monday, August 4th, he is the Chief of Police for the Baltimore Metropolitan Police Department. He's your boss." The silence is absolute. "You arrested your boss," Wu continues, each word landing like a hammer. "You drew your weapon on him. You handcuffed him so tightly his wrists are medically documented injuries. You shoved him into a patrol car. You sat him on a bench for 2 hours without reviewing his evidence. And you did all of this because he matched a vague description. Black male, blue shirt, silver car." Vaughn finds his voice barely a whisper. "We had a robbery call. The description matched. I followed procedure for a felony stop." "The actual robbery suspect was 32 years old, not 40s, Marcus interrupts quietly. "He was driving a silver Toyota Camry, not a Honda Accord. His shirt was light blue, mine is navy. He was 5'7", I'm 6'1". The only things that actually matched were black male and silver car. That was enough for you to draw your weapon, handcuff me, and detain me for 2 hours without bothering to verify any other details." He steps closer. "Tell me, Officer Vaughn, would you have been so confident making a felony stop if I'd been a white male in a silver car wearing a blue shirt? Would you have rushed to judgment, or would you have called for more details first?" Vaughn has no answer. Marcus continues, his voice still controlled but carrying undeniable authority. "I'm going to tell you something about myself, Officer Vaughn. Something that will help you understand why this matters so deeply. When I was 16 years old, my father was killed during a traffic stop. Robert Ellison. He worked at the Bethlehem steel mill for 16 years. He was driving home from a double shift, still in his work clothes, covered in mill dust. An officer pulled him over in a neighborhood like Pinewood Heights. Said he matched a suspect description. My father reached for his wallet to provide identification. The officer thought he was reaching for a weapon. 3 bullets. Dead before the ambulance arrived. The room is utterly silent except for the hum of the air conditioning. The officer was cleared. Procedure was followed, they said. Tragic misunderstanding. My father's death was ruled justified because he matched a description and made a suspicious movement. No charges, no accountability. The system protected the officer and buried my father. Tears streamed down Vaughn's face now. I was 16 when I watched my mother collapse at his funeral, Marcus continues. Catherine Ellison. She worked 3 jobs after he died. Hospital custodian from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. Church secretary from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Night shift at 7-Eleven from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. 4 hours of sleep a night for 9 years. She never complained once. She just worked. Because that's what you do when the system kills your husband and leaves you with a son to raise. Matthews has his head in his hands, shoulders shaking. I became a police officer because I promised my mother I would change this system from the inside, Marcus says. 22 years of work. Every rank, every certification, every policy paper and training manual and congressional testimony, building the credentials and relationships to finally have the power to make real change. And today, I experienced exactly what my father experienced. The difference is, I survived. I got to walk out. My father didn't. He pulls up his tablet, displays data. Officer Vaughn, in the past 2 years, you've made 243 traffic stops in Pinewood Heights and similar wealthy neighborhoods. Of those stops, 89% targeted black or brown drivers. You've initiated 47 vehicle searches based on matching descriptions or suspicious behavior. Only 6 of those searches found any evidence of actual crimes. That's an 87% false positive rate. You're not catching criminals, Officer Vaughn. You're harassing people who look like me in neighborhoods you've decided we don't belong in. Vaughn's voice cracks. I was just following the description. The call said black male, blue shirt, silver sedan. Marcus interrupts. That description could match thousands of men in Baltimore, but you saw me and decided I was guilty immediately. You didn't call for more details. You didn't verify the specific make of vehicle. You didn't confirm the age range or height. You drew your weapon on a man sitting peacefully in his car because the 2 things that really mattered to you were black and blue shirt. Everything else was confirmation bias. He lets that sink in. Now here's what happens next. You and Officer Matthews are suspended immediately. Full investigation. But I'm going to offer you something you don't deserve. A chance. He pulls out 2 documents. These are conditional remediation agreements. Officer Vaughn, yours requires 6-month suspension without pay. Intensive bias training. Not the corporate sanitized version. Real training led by community members who've experienced what you put me through today. Therapy specializing in examining implicit bias. And community service in West Baltimore, the neighborhood where I grew up, where my father died. At the end of 6 months, a civilian review board decides if you're fit to return. Vaughn takes the document with trembling hands. Officer Matthews, yours is 3 months paid suspension. You tried to slow this down. You questioned the stop. But you didn't call a supervisor. You didn't refuse to participate. You stood by and watched. That's complicity. So you get training, mandatory mentorship with a senior officer of color, and reassignment. You will never work with Officer Vaughn again. Marcus stands. Sign them or resign. Those are your options. Because if you refuse, we proceed with full criminal prosecution for false arrest, unlawful detention, and civil rights violations. Choose. Both officers sign without hesitation. But then Marcus's phone buzzes. A text from an unknown number. Chief Ellison, this is Derek Vaughn, Jr. I recorded my father arresting you from my window. I sent the video to every news station I could find. He's been like this my whole life. I'm tired of being ashamed. Thank you for holding him accountable. I'm staying with my girlfriend's family. Her name is Jasmine. She's black. And her family treats me better than my father ever treated anyone who looks like them. Derek. Marcus shows the text to Vaughn. Vaughn's face crumbles completely. My son. My own son. Your son is braver than you've been, Marcus says quietly. He saw injustice and reported it, even though it meant exposing his own father. That's integrity. He chose the black family you've been profiling over the white father who taught him to fear them. You have 6 months to become someone he can be proud of again. But before Vaughn can respond, one of the internal affairs investigators speaks up. Chief Ellison, there's something else you should see. We found a civilian employee named Jerome Williams in our filing department. He's been tracking traffic stop data for 2 years, built an entire database showing patterns. When he heard about your arrest, he brought it to us. You need to see this. Marcus follows them to a conference room where a nervous 34-year-old black man in khakis and a button-down shirt sits with a laptop. Wire-rimmed glasses, exhausted eyes that have seen too much. Dr. Ellison, Jerome's voice shakes. I'm Jerome Williams. I work in filing, but for 2 years, I've been tracking every traffic stop in Baltimore using public records. I taught myself data science online. My brother, he was stopped 43 times in 2 years. Never ticketed. Never arrested. Just harassed for being black in nice neighborhoods. He moved to Atlanta because he couldn't breathe here anymore. He opens his laptop. What appears on screen makes Marcus lean forward. Comprehensive database. Every traffic stop for 5 years. Cross-referenced by officer, location, race, outcome. Heat maps showing concentration patterns. Statistical analyses revealing disparities so stark they're undeniable. Officer Vaughn. 243 stops in wealthy neighborhoods. 89% minorities. 87% false positive search rate. But Vaughn isn't alone. The data shows 8 other officers with similar patterns. A systemic problem, not an individual one. I tried to show this to Internal Affairs 7 times, Jerome says. They told me to go back to filing papers. Nobody wanted to see it. Marcus closes the laptop slowly, looks at Jerome. How would you like to not work in filing anymore? Sir, I need a data analysis director for my new community accountability division. $87,000 annually plus benefits. Your job is exactly this: tracking patterns, identifying problems, giving me evidence to fix them. Interested? Jerome's eyes fill with tears. I don't have a degree. Just free online courses. You have 2 years of graduate-level work you taught yourself while holding a full-time job. That's worth more than any credential. You start Monday, same day I do. Over the next week, the transformation begins. Marcus starts his first day as chief, not with a press conference, but with a quiet review of every overlooked employee in the department. Sandra Martinez, parking enforcement, has a master's in social work, speaks fluent Spanish. Has been mediating domestic disputes on her lunch breaks for 6 years, preventing violence before officers ever get called. Marcus creates a crisis intervention unit with her as director. Angela Torres, 911 dispatcher, speaks 6 languages learned from her immigrant neighbors, has de-escalated over 200 mental health crises using cultural context that professional translators miss. Marcus makes her director of multicultural community engagement. Robert Hayes, evidence clerk, former Marine combat medic, has coached 12 emergency CPR procedures over the phone while officers waited for ambulances. 8 people survived because of him. Marcus creates a medical response unit with Hayes as director. Each person, a hidden genius. Each one invisible until someone finally asked, "What else can you do?" The real transformation, though, happens in an unexpected place. 6 weeks into his suspension, Derek Vaughn sits in a therapy office in West Baltimore. His therapist is a black woman in her 50s, Dr. Patricia Williams, who's worked with police officers for 20 years. "Tell me about your son," she says, and Vaughn breaks. Tells her about Derek Jr., about Jasmine, his black girlfriend, about how Vaughn questioned her constantly, made comments about those neighborhoods, expressed concern about Derek's future with someone like that. "I was afraid," Vaughn admits through tears. "Afraid my son would become one of the black men I see as threats every day. I didn't realize that fear itself was the problem. I was so busy profiling them that I didn't see I was teaching my son to fear the girl he loves." Dr. Williams writes something in her notes. "Your son chose a black family over you. What does that tell you?" "That they're better people than me." "No," she corrects gently. "It tells you that they saw him as a person first. They didn't judge him for your sins. They gave him the grace you refuse to give people who look like them. That's not about them being better. It's about them being more evolved. The question is, are you willing to evolve?" That conversation changes Vaughn's trajectory. He doesn't just complete his 6-month remediation. He embraces it. Volunteers extra hours in West Baltimore. Meets families affected by over-policing. Hears stories. Really hears them. And slowly, painfully, he begins to change. 5 years later, Marcus Ellison stands at a podium in the same building where it all began, but everything has changed. The conference room is packed. Media cameras line the walls. Commissioner Wu sits in the front row, smiling. Community leaders fill half the audience. The results are undeniable. Civilian complaints down 73%. Use of force incidents down 68%. Community trust surveys up 61%. False arrest rates down 82%. Minority officer recruitment up 89%. But Marcus doesn't lead with statistics. He leads with people. 5 years ago, I was arrested in Pinewood Heights for the crime of matching a vague description while black. I was detained for 2 hours in a busy processing area where officers walked past me without seeing me. I was treated as guilty until someone finally bothered to look at evidence proving my innocence. He pauses, looking out at the crowd. That experience taught me something I already knew but needed to feel. The system doesn't fail by accident. It fails by design. It's designed to see certain people as threats and others as citizens. It's designed to excuse bias and enable assumptions. It's designed to look away from injustice until someone makes it impossible to ignore. He gestures to the people seated behind him on stage. Jerome Williams, now Assistant Chief, youngest in department history. Sandra Martinez in Crisis Intervention Director uniform. Angela Torres representing multicultural engagement. Robert Hayes from Medical Response. And sitting in the third row, a 42-year-old white man in civilian clothes. Clean-shaven, sober, humble. Derek Vaughn, who didn't return to policing but instead founded the Second Chance Institute, teaching bias awareness to police departments across Maryland. Next to Vaughn sits his son, Derek Jr., now 22, wearing a Baltimore Police Academy cadet uniform. He graduated from Morehouse last year, married Jasmine 3 months ago, and yesterday started the academy, inspired by Marcus's example of what policing can be. "These are the people who changed Baltimore," Marcus says. "The filing clerk who saw patterns nobody wanted to acknowledge. The parking enforcement officer solving problems nobody credited her for. The dispatcher speaking languages that saved lives. The evidence clerk with medical skills nobody utilized. And yes, Even the officer whose false arrest became a catalyst for examining everything we'd been ignoring. His voice drops, more intense. Right now, in police departments across America, there are Jerome Williamses trapped in filing departments with skills nobody recognizes. There are Sandra Martinez's solving problems that nobody credits them for. There are Derek Vaughns making the same mistakes I experienced, traumatizing communities while believing they're just following procedure. He looks directly into the cameras. According to the Justice Department, black drivers are still 20% more likely to be stopped than white drivers nationally. We are twice as likely to be searched, despite being 26% less likely to be found with contraband. 43% of police departments still have no formal implicit bias training. Over 60% of civilian complaints are still dismissed without proper investigation. The statistics hang heavy. Baltimore isn't perfect. We still have work to do. But we've proven that change is possible when you're willing to look at uncomfortable truths. When you're willing to recognize talent in unexpected places. When you're willing to hold people accountable while still offering them a path to redemption. After the press conference, a young black woman approaches Marcus. She's 22, wearing a cadet uniform, name tag reading D. Roberts. Chief Ellison? I'm Destiny Roberts. My uncle is Jerome Williams's brother. He moved to Atlanta 5 years ago because of the constant stops. Your reforms brought him back last year. He teaches at Dunbar High now. And because he came back, because Baltimore is safer now, I'm not afraid to wear this uniform in my own city. Marcus shakes her hand warmly. Welcome to the force, Cadet Roberts. We've been waiting for you. Because that's the real victory, not the press conferences or statistics, but creating a system where Destiny Roberts can be a cop without fear, where Derek Jr. can marry Jasmine without his father's racism poisoning their future, where Jerome Williams rises from file clerk to assistant chief because someone finally saw his talent. The system is changing, slowly, imperfectly, painfully, but changing. When were you underestimated? When did someone make assumptions about you based on appearance, background, or role? Comment below with your story. Share this if you believe talent exists everywhere, but opportunity only reaches a few. Subscribe for more stories about people who prove potential has no prerequisites.